Yeah. So just can you brief me your experience on Tableau alone, please? Yeah.
Sure, sure.
How many
So
years of experience you?
yeah. So actually, I do hold around 8 years of experience into the IT, and as I do hold electronics and telecommunications engineering background. So my first job was into telecom and networking. Like I had worked around 1.5 year, and later on I switched to data domain. At
Mm.
initial phase, like I had learned SQL and Tableau, and based on those skill only, I got to chance work as a Tableau developer in the Zensar technologies basically.
Okay.
So my day-to-day work was closely working with the client. It was like stakeholders and business users and account managers, and they had some their own projects, in-house projects, where they used to extend the subscriptions for their end customer. So they used to maintain the inventory of the customer, and if they have any issues on the order data or any historical purchase of customer, they used to come up with the relevant requirement with us, and we help them out with the relevant data by writing the SQL queries in backend, and we prepared ad hoc report on the top of it. And at a later stage of the same project, we had developed the install base inventory management dashboard for the customer, where they used to see the total purchase of the customer along with the credit amount and license status, so that whenever the license is about to expire, they should track those with the help of that report. As the report was on a global level, so account manager from each region had access to the same report. So we had also implemented the row level security on that reports, where account managers from specific region could only see the relevant data belongs to his region for that report only. So that went well. I had developed around 15 plus different Tableau dashboard for the different client in that project, and over there I got good exposure on writing the SQL queries and creating the data extract at Tableau server side, and develop the Tableau reports from scratch. So later stage of my career, I worked as a data engineer, where I had developed end-to-end BI solutions for the client. I worked as an individual contributor over there, and got chance to develop the different workflows in Alteryx, Nifi, and used SQL jobs to get updated tables from backend and create extracted Tableau server side, and develop the further Tableau dashboards for the client. So the main intention was of the project was they were checking the within country and country transactions, and they were looking out for the region where they are getting very low revenue, so that further they could develop certain data models or business strategy with the help of machine learning engineers. So they wanted to, a centralized dashboard or reports where they could track the transactions activity. So I helped them out with those, and I created a year over year and the month over month USD converted amount for country to country and within country transactions, where they could see on the same report. And I had developed around four different dashboards for them and helped them to tune existing dashboard where they had some performance related issues. At my recent project, I worked as a technical
Okay.
lead. Yeah. So, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
shall I continue? Okay.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. Thanks, Akshay. Okay. So just to understand, like you told, like that you have worked on performance related issues,
yeah.
right? So would like to understand what kind of performance issues you have faced and
Mhm.
how you have resolved it.
So the first issue was like dashboard had some data sources coming out from the on-prem, and the backend data was shifted to cloud, and the data source got disturbed, due to which they didn't had loaded all the entire data at Tableau report side. A few of the calculation got no, broken. That's why the dashboard was not no, working or loading properly. So I refactored that dashboard. I republished the data source at Tableau cloud site, which were originally connected to Tableau prem. Then I redid the same stuff on the Snowflake, that they had a new platform of backend. So from Snowflake to a Tableau cloud, I published a data source and ran a full refresh, and then I refactored the existing Tableau dashboard by rebuilding the existing calculations, and that way it started working fine. Second dashboard had the similar issue, but they had calculation related issues, because as the data size changed, the level of detail calculation it was taking more than usual time to load. So that's why the dashboard couldn't populate the chart within the time. So it took around 10 to 15 minutes to load that particular dashboard. So what I did, I
Mhm.
rebuilt that LOD calculation, because there are 17 different fields where the dimension were passed in that calculation. So I suggested to cut
Okay.
down the four dimension out of that LOD calculation, which were not no more needed. So when we cut them down and reuse that calculation, then that dashboard started working fine. So that way, but in general we do use performance optimizer to tackle the issue, like where exactly the issue is, and accordingly we took the appropriate actions to fix the performance related issues.
Okay. Earlier, you were saying like, okay, you have implemented security, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
row level security.
Yeah.
So, can you please explain like, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, how you have implemented the security in the dashboards?
Yeah, actually we had around 3000 user base in Tableau Cloud, and the report that we were
Mhm.
building, it was on a global
Mhm.
level. So it was publicly available to all the audience which were account manager in in the system. So
Mhm.
the main goal was to
Understand.
restrict the account manager to look out the another regional data, because in the report we did had the entire global data. So our main intention
Understand.
was to restrict the data. If the account manager is belongs to, let's say if he belongs to US, then he should only see the US data. So to fix that, what we did, we
Mhm.
created a user group in Tableau Cloud, and we also created a active directory for the static users, and assigned mapped each users to his group that he's belonging to.
Group.
Yeah.
Understand.
And that way,
Mhm.
we what we did in the Tableau Cloud only, we again created the user group and assigned those user, I mean map those
Okay.
user to Tableau Cloud side. And what we did, in the data source level, we applied a filter where if the user is member of a specific region, then he would be able to see that US region data, like that way. And we applied that at the data source level and published that dashboard at Tableau Cloud side. So hierarchically how it works, whenever any new user is coming into the system, then we need to map that
Mhm.
particular
Understand.
user to backend table where he's supposed to be a part of specific region. So if his region is belonging to region, like if he is member of a specific region, then only the further joining will work, and he will be able to see the relevant data belongs to that specific region. So that way it worked. And as we had 3000
Understand.
plus user data, so it was a centralized system
Mm.
where we had to implement that particular thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Akshay. Siddiq, over to you, Siddiq.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
Hi, Akshay.
Hi Siddhi.
Yeah. So I'm checking your resume. 1 second. Okay, and we have 88 plus experience.
Mhm.
Okay. So what are the quick table calculations in Tableau, and when are they useful in Tableau?
Quick table, it's
Quick
quickly
table.
available, like whenever we have to calculate a total sum or running sum or year to date or year over year calculation. There are few quick calculations available in Tableau, so we can use that if we want to build some quick calculation without going through calculated field, like building from the scratch. So there are few features available, like in the Tableau itself, where we can use those directly and see that, I mean, use that particular charts instead of using calculated fields. It is possible, like we can go with calculated field also, but if we have that readily available in Tableau, then it is easy to, directly use those and uh, manipulate our charts as per the requirement.
Okay. So what are some considerations for deploying Tableau dashboards to a
Mhm.
large audience?
So very first thing is data set. If we have a validated data set where on the top of which we are going to develop the dashboard, that's supposed to be considered first. because if we have a multiple report associated with the same data set, then we can go with the, we can create a calculation within the data set itself before publishing it at Tableau server side, so that we can use those calculations to build our charts. That's the first thing. Second, it comes to row level security also. If we have a broad audience, then we should consider a grouping of the user, where we are going to disclose the report at the end. So that is the second thing that needs to be considered. Third is, like, as per the requirement, we should only consider the relevant calculation while building the dashboard and whatever reports we need. And just to keep in track, like, whatever reports that or the workbooks that we need, we should keep those, or all other workbooks which are not useful, we should hide them or remove from the actual dashboard, so that it will not be accessed by anyone else with the different access. Many time it happens, like, when it comes to broader audience, with the different level of access, the audience or anyone, any user can download and re-edit it as per his level of access. So that way, if we are hiding those workbooks or removing those workbooks before publishing, that would be a better way to publish dashboard before no preparing it. That there are few things that normally we should consider.
Okay. Then how can you perform data aggregations in Tableau? Data aggregations.
Yeah, we can do it. Different ways. There are joining is there, where we can integrate the data and then perform the aggregation based on our requirement. We can do the same stuff in relationship. If we have the different granularity of the between the two different data sets, we can do blending also to do aggregation. If we have two different data sources and we need data from those two different data sources in the Tableau itself, then blending is the appropriate choice.
Okay. So what is meant by discrete and continuous in Tableau?
So discrete is something refers to an individually separate entity. It could be considered as a categorical data.
Sorry. What is the discrete? What is the discrete?
It is individually separate data. It could be it could be fall under different categorical data or hierarchical data. As example, I can say subcategory, category, or a name. It could be fall in a discrete. When it comes to continuous, it is a number or the range. I mean, the value something falling between the two different range. It is called as continuous. So it could be any value which can be aggregated, should be associated with any dimension, so that can be called as a continuous value. For example, like sales, profit, or quantity.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah. Difference between join and blending.
So joining and blending are it sounds same, but joining is something we integrate two different tables on physical layer, and we are defining the common attribute between them in order to perform the joining. Like, we have primary key as a common key which can be identified at both table, and based on that we perform the join. And whatever aggregation or calculation we do build, it will perform on the entire data integrated table of the both, which is associated with the same joining condition. But in the blending, it is the same, but if we have the data or table coming from two different sources, then with a different granularity, of course, so it will be a blended operation where the Tableau does the aggregation first, and then we define the joining. But what happens whenever we build our calculation or visual in the workbook, so based on our visualization, it does look out for the relevant linking field, and based on that linking field it will perform the join, and further we can visualize that part. So it happens like that.
Okay. Difference between tree map and heat map.
So tree map is something, if we
Maps.
have to visualize something which is associated with certain hierarchy, we can use the here tree map in that case, where we can showcase a certain measure based on his total volume. And if the volume is high, of course it will show in a bigger size compared to all other uh, dimension. And heat map, it will show the same thing, but we can we, we can visualize based on the measure. Like if we have very high volume in certain dimension, it will show based on this intensity of color. It will not show in size, it will only show the intensity of color, whether high or low, based on the total volume or aggregated measure of that particular dimension that we are passing in.
Okay. So last question. Instead of in samples, superstore data, suppose country-wise profits and sales is there, but I need instead of null and zero place, instead of zero and null place, I want only blank. So how can you show to customer?
Instead of null, blank in the sense a space we can pass.
Null, yeah,
So
blank, cut blank,
we,
just space.
yeah, then we can go with the if null
I
condition.
don't. If null is not using only null character mark,
Yeah,
not how can you write in calculation?
so like, I mean, in the country, if there is
Suppose country-wise profit is there.
Mhm.
Suppose in India we don't have profits. It's showing only null. Instead of null, how can you show blank?
Yeah, then okay, then we can go with if null condition, like if null profit, then comma, we can pass the space, like in comma, in a semicolon we can pass the space, and that way if the profit is null, it will show the space in the calculation.
Okay. In zero, what about zero?
So yeah, if it is 0, then of course it will not counted as null, so it will show 0 over there. Or we
Yeah,
can
instead of zero also I want to show blank.
okay, then we can include a zn, or we can use the or condition and say if 0, then
Or condition of Zn.
zn also we can use, but I'm not able to recall the exact syntax how it can be in zn, but we can use or condition also, like if null the first condition, then or, then if 0, then the space whatever we need.
Place or blank. Okay. Okay, Akshay. Thank you. I'm done, Tableau.
Thanks, Siddiq. Actually, Nagesh, if you have any more questions, you can ask. I've asked Amin for a few more minutes with Akshay until the next person joins. We have like a interview scheduled back to back, but since we joined late, we have like a few more
Oh,
minutes for him.
okay. Yeah, then it's fine. Yeah. Okay. So Akshay, let's think like okay. Um, we have two fact tables, Akshay. Okay, and both these fact tables doesn't have any common keys. Okay, I wanted to create a single dashboard by using these two fact tables. Okay, and I want to have a common filter. Okay, on top of this dashboard, which is created by using these two fact tables. So how can we achieve that, Akshay?
As we don't have any common key between two fact tables, we can do a joining using the calculation, like we can pass one at the both table, and based on that we can perform the join and create a Cartesian product of the entire table. And later we can
Now, if you create a Cartesian product, then data would not be coming accurately, right? Agree?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if you create a Cartesian product, then I mean the values are the data which you are seeing on the dashboard that would not be appropriate.
Correct, correct.
So how can we?
So we don't have any common field, so we will have to define something. We can pass. I mean, what I did last time, like we can pass one at both side and create a join between the two table, and then we can use it to develop
Mhm.
visual. I'll check for that. I'm not able to call at the moment, but I'll check for that one, like how we can.
Okay, okay. One last question. Okay. So okay, so you okay. So there are two users. Okay. There are two sets of users. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let's think like you, me, okay, and Siddiq. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
we three people are there, and we three are the managers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, in a table, I have our names. Okay, and also our SOIDs. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and also okay, you have few people working from US, and you have few people working from India. Okay, and few other people working from some other countries. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so all this, so in which all the countries your team is working, so they have kept like a row as Akshay, your SOID. Okay, you have presence in India, US, and Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, similarly, Siddiq have presence in Canada and India and US. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and I have presence only in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I want you to create a dashboard by using this single table. Okay, and okay, so and give an option to the user so that when they select India, right? Okay, so you and Siddiq only have presence in India. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
then only the two those should come. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
when they select Canada, you and me have presence in Canada. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so you and okay, only these two rows should come. So how can we achieve this in
In
Tableau
filter,
by using this table?
we can use the cascade filter on the country. If we are selecting in a specific country, then it will only filter a relevant country out of the data set and will show in visual. If I'm
No, all these are comma separated, right? So how will it filter?
no,
I have only one runtime parameter. Then how cascading works?
okay, then we will have to split it and create split it in different column, like we'll have to define those, and then we will have to pivot them so
How
that.
will you define? Okay,
Mhm.
we don't have any control, right, Akshay? So
Using
and
in the
also
in
I don't want
Mhm.
the data to be coming up into multiple rows.
It's a
Okay,
single.
because I need okay, so I need your SYD name and also where you have presence. So if you have presence in 100 countries and if you are splitting up into 100 columns,
Mhm.
okay, my Excel would be dragging
Mhm.
and I need to do a horizontal this thing, right?
Yeah, correct.
Mhm.
So we can create a separate column out of that single string data, where if the country name is there, it will showcase in different column, and that way we can further pivot it. Will that work?
No, right? We cannot split up the data. So, I mean, when you are presenting the data, okay, I
Mm-hmm.
need only three columns.
Mm-hmm. And that was tricky. I'll check for that one. Like I'm not sure at the moment, but I will definitely do
Mhm.
some R&D.
Okay, okay. And okay, one last question related to database. Okay, so I have a SQL query. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and user has given the SQL query to us. Okay, and he has asked to create a dashboard by using that one. Okay, not you think like not an user. Okay, you think user because user might not be technically strong, but with what the knowledge he has, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he has created a query and he has given it to you, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And he has asked you to create a dashboard, okay?
Mm-hmm.
When you have started using that query and you have created the dashboard, okay? I'm seeing some performance issues, okay?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So how would you analyze that performance issues, okay? And how would you fix it?
Okay. So I will assume, like, based on the my performance optimizer report, like there is some runtime. I mean, extra time is taking to load the query in dashboard. So I will first look for the SQL query, like how it is built. If this query contain multiple joinings or whatever aggregation or whatever logic is implemented, I will cross validate that logic, and if possible I'll try to make it simple and merge it. If there is unnecessary joining is there, or no column is there, columns are there in the output, then I will try to retrieve only relevant column which are needed in dashboard. Second one, I will check, as he is not technically strong, so of course I will reiterate that query. I will make sure the SQL query is no, in terms of performance, working fine. uh, Secondary thing I'll check for a
No,
cache.
how will you check that?
Mm-hmm.
That is what my question is. How will you check
I
whether
will,
the performance was good? Yeah.
yeah, I'll first try to run that query in SQL itself. I will check how long it is taking.
Mhm.
Take second,
Okay,
whatever
let's assume
tables. Mhm.
it is taking around 3 hours.
Yeah, then that's
Okay,
of course
so
it's
you have run the query in the database and it has run for 3 hours. So what would be your next step?
next step would be I'll check for the tables which were called in that particular SQL query, and I will check for the schema for that table, like if we have any data issue or data definition issues in that, table, or I will check for the index on that particular table if it is correctly applied or not. So that way we
How
can.
will you know that? Sorry to
So
interrupt.
for that
So how will you know like
mhm,
okay,
mhm. So for that I will have to access that table individually and look for his no, definition, like how that table is created, and we'll have to also look for the underlying script for that table, like how the data is coming into that table, if there is any issue on that, no, data itself, or any update command if we have that associated with that table. If we I will cross check for that one if we have any issues on that.
no,
Practically I'll
what
get that.
impact would you sorry to interrupt
Mm-hmm.
again. Yeah, if there is an update command in the edit definition,
Mm-hmm.
so what impact would be there for the performance? So how it will hamper the performance?
So in update, like I'll check how it is updating, like if any data type issue is there, or any index is not correctly applied, so that will I check, and that can help to update the performance of that particular table.
That is what actually.
Mm-hmm.
No, I was looking for a specific thing. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so well, let's imagine like okay, there is a table called region.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so where we have all the regions and all these things. Okay, so and there is an index on the region. Okay,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so how will you check like whether the region index is fine or you need some other or you need to drop something else? So how will you know that?
uh,
So by checking the now I have given you the table definition, right?
mm-hmm.
So how will you understand?
No, I'm not sure. I will have to check, like I have not worked explicitly to develop any specific table, but uh, there could be certain things that need to follow, but I'll check for that. I'm not sure at the moment.
No. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Rubla.
Mhm.
Thanks, Akshay. That's it from my end.